You're listening to Oppositional Forces. Bad guys for good reasons. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Oppositional Forces. I am your host, Scotty Don't. With me today is the last Jotun from the frozen north, Mr. Frost. Say hi.
What's up, everybody?
Howdy, howdy. We are heading into the holiday season and
Turkey Day.
getting to Turkey Day. So hopefully, those who are tuning in prior to and getting ready to travel, this episode is for you. Because today we are going to be talking about EDC. And no, not the rave.
Yeah.
As my, but we live like 2 hours from Vegas. And so EDC is a huge deal down here. I've got a lot of friends that go to it, but no, what we're talking about is everyday carry.
Never leave home without it.
That's right. And EDC is an acronym that we use in the biz, and what a lot of people use in the prepper communities, in the self-defense community, as the short for what it is that you have on your person every day. So as you can imagine, everyday carry means everyday carry. So with that, as we get started, I want to kind of preface this episode with kind of my initial thoughts into what everyday carry consists of. And then we're going to break it down and start covering all the minutia.
And this is not the Holy Grail, and this is what we look at. So
right.
We set that preface of this is what we look at, and there's always room for improvement or even take away or add to.
Right, exactly. So with everyday carry, try to keep in mind as we're going through this stuff, there are things that you do in your profession, things that you are about as a parent, whether you're a father or a mother, if you're a chef, if you're, a doctor or whatever. There are things that you carry for your profession every day that makes, all the sense and makes all the difference. For the average Joe or Jill, EDC
or Chris.
Yeah, the things that you carry, we're hoping to change the dynamic a little bit for you. Okay. This is not intended to be like a gut check, like you're doing it wrong and you're living life wrong because you don't have a flashlight on you at all times. That's not what we're trying to do here. What we want to do is open your eyes.
You should, though.
You should.
But I don't.
We want to open your eyes to the things that happen around us all the time that you could make your life easier or safer by adjusting what you carry. Now, granted, there are constraints to what you can carry based on what you wear.
Or even where you're going.
And where you're going. So everything that we're talking about here today is, like you say, Mr. Frost, it's not the Holy Grail. This isn't the end all of be all, the hard line in the sand. But hopefully as you're listening to this stuff, you say, once or twice, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. I really should, invest in, fill in the blank.
Right.
And with all of these things, there are opportunities for having more than one. Mr. Frost's, favorite line that sticks in my head every time I think about, the things I'm putting in my pockets is 2 is 1 and 1 is none. Because actually, Mr. Frost, why don't you expound on that?
Well, I mean, Yeah, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. I mean, if you think about it, depending on your situation, I mean, part of this whole thing is part of your situational awareness that we've talked in past of, I know where I'm going. I have an idea of what I'm doing today. So it turns into, hey, I know I'm going to be gone all day, especially with this time of year. It's getting darker. Maybe you have a rechargeable flashlight that you carry around with you. Well, if you have 2, well, what if that one dies? Or what if it falls out of your pocket or falls out of your gear bag or something like that, or whatever it is, you have a backup.
Right. And so in the opportunities where someone says, oh yeah, no, I've got that thing that, they talked on, Op4 about, hopefully you realize, you may be a world away from your car or your bag or whatever, and suddenly be in need of the thing that, you have decided that you are going to put in that car or bag. And now you don't have it. Now it's, on the other side of the football field, or,
right.
On the other side of the Disneyland parking lot, and you wish that you had what you need. So if you are carrying these things, start considering ways that you can carry 2.
Right. Or like things. I mean, we're going to dive into some tools that you can put on your person that you can carry with you every day that isn't part of like that pocket dump that everybody says, or whatever it is. It's always there on your person because it's something that you have to have all the time.
Right. So before we get into the basics, I'm going to do things a little bit different today than I have been doing. So as we're moving forward, I'm going to hit a promo now, and then I'll do one a little later. I'm trying to kind of dial in, how we do these so that we can not have to dump them all on you at the same time, especially as we start getting more sponsors. So let me hit you with one of these, and then we'll start talking about the basics. All right, everyone, we're taking a brief moment to talk to you about one of our favorite sponsors. That's right. The Barber Collective is a Southern Utah mainstay, U.S. veteran owned, with an elite team of classically trained barbers for you to get that dapper do, professional fade, or a cut on the wild side. Competitive pricing with walk-ins available. You won't walk out disappointed that you tried The Barber Collective. Call today and schedule your appointment. Mention oppositional forces and receive your first cut on us. You can schedule online at vagaro.com/barberco. That's VAGARO.com/BARBERCO. Or call them at 435-922-8454. That's 435-922-8454. That's the Barber Collective. Don't let that do you wrong. Go see them today. All right, everyone. We're taking a brief moment to... No, we're not. Letting that one loop over and over again for you. So let's get into the basics. So, Mr. Frost, I am a man, if you can't tell. And
sometimes we think you're a man. Sometimes we think, well, anyways, Mr. Mom himself.
Mr. Mom, that's what I am.
I'm joking.
So I carry a wallet, just your run-of-the-mill billfold. And I think that's a good place, or as good a place as any to start. What do you carry in your wallet that you would consider essential?
For me, because of what we do, I make sure that I have my ID.
Like a driver's license?
Driver's license, state ID card. I also always have my concealed carry credentials. Now, I don't have multiple for multiple states because Utah has reciprocity in a lot of states.
Reciprocity? What's that?
Reciprocity is the right to carry. The state views that you are well trained enough to carry a concealed weapon in that state. And that still requires you to look at local laws because, Sometimes carrying a blade over a certain amount requires a concealed carry versus not.
Right.
Or, I still have to check the laws of, hey, can I have what some consider a high capacity magazine? For me is a normal magazine.
Right. And thankfully the courts have struck down California's ridiculous law concerning high capacity magazines. I think New York as well, right?
That is information that I don't know.
Well, for those listening,
And I should, but I don't.
Depending on where you live, it's important for you to have an understanding of what the laws are, not only where you live, but where you're going. So for people like Mr. Frost and myself, we travel constantly. And so it's important when we are moving from point A to point B that we know what we can do lawfully. It's important, especially in today's legal world, that you understand, those rules, those laws, because as we've seen in the news recently, one of the things that people are harping on a lot about, considering a certain case in Kenosha, was whether or not someone was or wasn't lawfully allowed to both carry a firearm and to bring it over state lines. The latter turned out to be misinformation. The former turned out to be a big nothing burger. But a concealed weapons permit, I think, even if you're not a concealed carrying person yet, it's something that you need to start looking at and identifying what it is, that is required of you, especially, for those that go back and forth to see family. If you live close to a border, I used to live in Tri-Cities, Washington, and I would go from Washington to Oregon every day because I worked in Oregon, but I lived in Washington. So I did not have reciprocity in Oregon. So when I crossed over the border, I would drop the magazine, and the one in the chamber, separate them, and then box them accordingly in the car, so that it was lawful that I had the firearm in the car, but it wasn't in a condition where it was considered a carried firearm. So just something for everybody to keep in mind. Another thing that you should have in your wallet, obviously, is cash and credit. Cash in case, you end up somewhere where it's not applicable, that you could use a card.
Well, look at Louisiana.
Right.
When we first got to Louisiana, all that stuff was shut down, and
Right.
It was cash only.
Power was out. People were taking cash only. They were taking exact change only.
Right.
And so it was kind of a problematic situation that if you were trying to run around and just survive off of your debit and credit cards, now you're in a world of hurt because you can't do anything without cash.
Right. And you can't even go to an ATM machine.
Right. Which is a little redundant.
Right. But I mean, that's something that somebody doesn't necessarily think of all the time, of like, oh, I'll just run to the ATM machine because I can only use cash.
No, I meant ATM machine, as in the last letter in ATM is the word machine.
Oh,
Whatever. I'm just giving you a hard time.
I'm just saying that even in my own not thinking about, because when I was in Louisiana, I did have some cash with me, but I would go to the store across from the hotel where I was staying, and for the first week, it was cash only.
Right.
And I started to run low on cash, and I was like, oh, no big deal. Yeah, their credit machine is not working, but I'll go to the ATM. I didn't even think about, well, their credit machine isn't working.
Because nobody's is.
Because nobody's is. So I was like, oh, yeah, I should have had more cash on hand.
Right. So driver's license, concealed weapons permit, cash, credit card.
Right.
Credit card is important. I survived the first 31 years of my life without a credit card. However, I was shown the light by my wife who thought it was ridiculous that I didn't own a credit card for the simple fact of sometimes you have to do things that require a credit card. One of those things is something I do on a regular basis now, which is rent cars.
Right.
So everywhere we go, I can use a debit card in certain situations to rent a car. But oftentimes I either have to show a return ticket, that says I've already invested in the fact that I'm going to be back and that, I'm intending to return this car to where it came from.
But we don't 90% of the time.
Yeah. And 90% of the time we don't. So it requires a credit card, and a limit, big enough to handle whatever $300, $400, $500 worth of money hold.
Right.
Until I turn it back in. So if you
that's even hotel rooms too now.
Oh, is it really?
For some places. Some
okay.
Bigger chains, to be very honest with you.
And that makes sense.
I've learned.
Because I use credit cards for all of it now because, it's all business. But yeah, I mean, in a situation where you need to be able to secure something and quickly, it's important to have a credit card. If you don't have one, maybe you're prior active Marine with garbage credit.
That would be me.
Like all of us. No, like all of us.
Right. I don't know. I had some pretty responsible guys I served with sometimes.
Yeah. I think
far between, but
I think financial literacy escaped us as far as like the Marine Corps Institute courses that we were
the MCI that you did.
Yeah. I
didn't pay attention to it. I just said I did it.
Well, yeah, and especially when they were still, in paper form.
Right.
You just had your proctor like going in and say, "Oh yeah, nope, got 100%. You did a good job."
Right.
So, if you don't have a credit card and you've got, really poor credit, a secured credit card is something that you're going to want to get. It's something you pay for up front, but then it shows on your credit report as a revolving credit, even though it's something that you're paying essentially cash for.
That's what I'm doing right now, to be very honest with you.
Yeah. So it's a really great thing to have. And then you can use it like a credit card and nobody knows the difference
right
when you're swiping the thing. And then you just make sure that you're paying it off, accordingly so that you don't, run into a hardship.
Right.
So, other things, actually, as we get further down into this, there are some things that you can put in your wallet, but right now we're talking about the basics. So other things you carry in your person, keys. Why is it that both sounds very obvious, but then some people, don't put that at the forefront of the list of things they leave the house with?
I think, I'm bad at this. You know this as well as I do. I get in your vehicle and I tuck my keys into the door of your vehicle, and I just leave them there.
And then you have to be reminded
that they're there because I forget.
Right.
But I mean, keys, it turns into, I'm notorious for, hey, let's go here. I'll come pick you up. No, I'll meet you there because I don't like to be stuck.
Right.
If I'm somewhere where I don't want to be, I can leave, and then I don't have to be rude and excuse me. I don't have to say, "Hey, I want to leave now," and the rest of everybody has to leave because I want to leave, type of thing.
Right. So keeping your keys on you, and then having the keys that serve the most important purposes.
Right. Your home, your vehicle, that lockbox. I have one of the lock boxes in the bed of my truck where I keep a lot of gear that if I don't have that stuff, especially if I don't have that key and I have to, maybe I do make it across Disneyland to the parking lot in a dire situation, or here at the Smash Labs if things went sideways down the road or something like that. And we were, a part of that. If I can't get into that box, well,
you're in for a world of hurt.
Right. I only have 2 magazines, but I'm horrible at carrying a lot of things that I should probably have on my person all the time.
One of the things that I have with my keys that I think a lot of people don't think about and that they should probably start doing is having keys to the most important people in my life to their homes. Because there are situations where, hey, my car just broke down. I'm 2 hours away and I was expecting to be able to get home and let my dog out. Can you go let my dog out?
Right.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, I just left town and I'm thinking the oven's on. Can you go check? Whatever. There's a bunch of reasons why I give out my house key. I make a handful of copies. You have one.
Right.
And I make sure, some other important people in my life have keys to my house.
Well, you have one for mine as well.
Right. For those reasons. So it may not be on your main key ring, but I have a key ring that I consider a part of my EDC that's in my secondary, stow point, my vehicle, that I have keys to several homes that I don't live at. So
it's like a safe house or a storefront for cops.
Well, so if you're in a situation where, you're thinking, oh yeah, no, I've dealt with this situation more than once, and they had to tell me like where their hide key was or the code to their garage, but you have to it's a 6-digit code and you have to do the hokey pokey before the garage door opens. Like it's just easier if there's a handful of people that have access to yours and you have access to theirs.
Right.
So, your phone, nowadays, I hate and love my phone so much. It's
plastic Jesus.
That door swings both ways and so wide, because 20 years ago, that would have been, the
20 years. It hasn't even been 20 years.
It's like a nice to have had. No, when I was 14, there were flip phones, were.
God, that makes me so old.
Yeah. No, you're old as dirt.
Yeah.
So, it was a nice to have, but it wasn't nearly as essential. They had pay phones. Every door you knocked on had a landline.
Right. You carry a safety pin for a payphone.
Cracker Jack whistle, so you can make free long distance calls.
Right.
Yeah. No, it was, it wasn't what it is now. And nowadays, your phone gives you access to, your bank, to your, to all of your contacts, because we don't memorize phone numbers anymore. It's easy access to immediate information,
Even it unlocks things now. I mean,
oh yeah.
Some people have that set up so you can unlock your front door.
Right. Yeah.
Or your car.
Somebody's going to swing by my house, and I can use, an automatic, code generator on my phone that gives you a temporary code to unlock my house.
Right.
For the ones that don't have keys, kind of thing.
Right.
So there's a lot there. I know that most people, have probably had a situation where, they've left their phone somewhere, they've put it down and it, slid in between cushions, or, it's stuck under the seat of their car and they just don't know where it is. Right. You have that panic moment like, oh my God, my plastic Jesus is gone.
Hence the plastic Jesus.
Right. So most people should at this point, in their life have adopted the Find My iPhone or some sort of similar app for Android. I use Pray. It's Prey, not pray to God I find my phone again, but it's a program that tracks all of my electronics. Anything that connects to the internet, I have Pray on, because if something goes missing, I can access it. I can send a message to it. I can open up the camera and view from it. It's actually a really great program, and it's free. They have a paid side of the service, but if you lose your phone, it'll give you the GPS coordinates. If somebody steals it, you can open the camera. If they try to access it, it'll take a picture of their face as they're trying to access it. You can drop them a message that, throws up a banner on your phone that says, look, I know where you are. I know I have your face. Put the phone down.
I have a special set of skills.
Just put the phone down and I'll come pick it up, and that'll be it. I won't look for you.
Right.
But,
my Liam Neeson reference.
Right. Exactly. On my phone, I always have not only access to my insurance app, which I can get, an immediate insurance card, a digital insurance card pulled up, but I take a screenshot of that as well so that I have my car insurance information. Because once again, we rent cars a lot.
A lot.
And if you're borrowing your friend's car, if you're renting a car, having proof of insurance, for yourself on top of whatever vehicle you're in, is important. And then I discovered something recently because I rent a lot of cars, and that is a timestamp camera app. It's just a simple app that functions with your camera so that when you take a picture, it gives you a GPS, a time, a date, all the pertinent information of where you were and when this was, so that when you take a picture of something, that's actually like court level evidence.
Right.
It's not a picture that you have to dig into the metadata and have some forensic, cell phone scientist, go in and tool with later and say, yes, this actually was taken here and there. And nope, timestamp, completely lawful at that point, because you can't manipulate it. You can't hack it. You can't toy with it.
You can't change it.
You can't change it.
You can't go into settings and be like, oh, I took this picture at 1927 when you took it 3 days ago.
Right, exactly. So, these are things, these are items everybody has, but maybe you're not making full use of it. So just, some things to think about. The other things, and we've talked about this before, it is both a tool and a weapon, and that's a knife. It's important to carry a knife because not all of us have, super strong fingernails, that are capable of unboxing and tooling with things. Though I like to think that my thumbnail is sometimes a screwdriver. It rarely holds up.
Right. And then you have this cracked nail and you're pissed.
Right. Yeah, it's snagging on everything and tearing my shirts up. So you should have a knife. And I'm not saying use your knife as a screwdriver, because that's unless it has a function on it like a multi-tool.
Right.
But you should have a knife. Have a knife.
That's another 2 is 1, 1 is none. Exactly.
One of our mentors, and hopefully, once the weather clears a little bit on his horizon, we'll have Mr. Kevin Reeve in here with On Point Tactical. He often jokes that, when people ask him why he carries 10 knives on him, it's because he hasn't figured out how to carry 11.
Right.
So it's something that you want to have. It's something that you need to have. It doesn't matter if you're opening a letter or a box or defending yourself. A knife has 1,000 uses. Google them.
Right.
So
yeah. Sorry, I know I'm kind of backtracking a little bit, but we talked about apps on phones for everyday carry. I have 2 other apps that I think are
shout it out
necessary. You need to have a good weather app for wherever you're at to get good sound weather information.
Where you're at and where you're going.
Right.
So you don't end up in the middle of Yellowstone at 2 a.m. in a blizzard.
Snow on the road.
Like me the other day.
Right. That was a fun time. And then I really like the encrypted. I like Telegram. This is just me because it's encrypted. It could be like a WhatsApp, whatever, but having a group chat like you and I have with some other people that we can check in with each other.
Right now, the recommended app, now WhatsApp works well.
Right.
But for peer-to-peer encryption, Signal right now is kind of
Signal and Telegram.
Right.
Both are very strong. And I think that those trusted individuals that you have, whether it be family, buddies, whatever, significant other, having a group chat in that is is key.
Right.
Because then it's, especially for your women, some of you women, you're single, you're going out on a date, you have, hey, this is where I'm going to be, this is what's going on.
Right.
Type of thing, because then it turns into, okay, I can look at that app real quick and, your wife puts it in there. I know because you're out on a transport or you're out on a job that she can message in that group app. We're all aware that, hey, maybe she's been having some car trouble with her battery or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I automatically know, hey, I need to keep an eye on that because Scotty's out of town and I'm going to be called anyways.
Right.
So it turns into now I can pop in and be like, hey, everything okay? And it doesn't have to be, I got to worry about everything else.
Right.
It's a need to know amongst peers.
Right, exactly. So, driving forward, I think I've covered knife about as well as one should, at least, for beginners.
Right. And it doesn't have to be, $100 or $700 knife. I really advise you to have a knife that's like a throwaway knife. Like you don't care if you actually have to use it as a pry bar and it's going to break. It can be a $10 gas station knife. But, have 2 of them, have 3 of them, something like that, because they're useful. They're a tool. And, you can never have too many tools in your toolbox.
Right. And you should have one in every container that you use. So if you've got a go bag, you should have a knife in your go bag. You should have a knife in your vehicle. You should have a knife on your person.
Right.
You should have a knife in your backpack. You should have a knife in your purse.
Right.
It's simple.
Right. Or a multi-tool.
Yeah, exactly. Because you never know when you'll need that screwdriver.
Right.
So gun, firearm, harp on it. Because I know if I start doing it, everyone's going to start rolling their eyes because of how emotional I get about it.
Yeah, we had this conversation a little earlier.
Yeah. Now, you should, and for those that know me, I'm constantly, whenever a new video, shows up on Facebook, I'm sharing it and harping on the same message. You should be carrying a concealed firearm. If you are an adult and if you value your life and the lives of people around you, you should have a concealed firearm. You should train with that firearm. You should shoot that firearm. You should dry fire that firearm. And
you should clean that firearm.
You need to clean that firearm. Yeah, it should be as straightforward as everything else that we talk about. It shouldn't be some sort of divisive, political, whatever. Okay. Understand the people that harp the most against firearms in your political climate here in the United States, specifically, carry firearms. They're liars. They are lying to you. The people who have the most clout in the anti-firearm arena have concealed firearms. They have concealed firearm permits. I can link, on the website or something to everyone, who's been the biggest, anti-gun politicians and Hollywood types.
But that's the thing is, even if they particularly don't carry a gun, especially a higher echelon of people,
they hire us to do it for them.
Right. And so they're protected. People who hate guns are protected by guns.
Always. And it's a necessity, especially once they get a certain amount of net worth.
Right.
If they're working on a movie, if they've got a record deal, whatever the case may be, oftentimes that record label, the movie studio, whatever, will assign them a security detail that's often armed.
Right.
So
often, not always, but yeah. Anyways.
Right. So we are, shameless plug here, we are conducting a concealed firearm course this coming Sunday. Go to our website. It's badguyforhire.com. I'm going to have the event listed there. That's going to be the Sunday after Thanksgiving, November 28th. And we will be conducting a concealed firearm permit class. And so that is for the state of Utah. It's here in southern Utah. And if it's something that you've been kicking around and you've been kicking yourself in the butt saying, I'd like to get it done, whatever. Hey, give us a call, shoot us an email, and we'll get you signed up for the class. We do everything in-house to get you ready to send your stuff off to the state. If you are an in-state resident of Utah, it's a one-stop shop. If you are from another state and you're going to come in because you want the extra reciprocity, because Utah has an amazing amount of state reciprocity, it's 35 states and 2 territories, then you need to already have a concealed firearm permit in your state. So just something to keep in mind, something to look at your calendar for.
And keep in mind, just because Utah is a constitutional carry now, there are still limitations to where you can carry without a concealed carry.
And how you carry that concealed carry.
Right. So those are things that we will be addressing in the class, but I just want to stress that some people say, oh, I don't need a concealed carry anymore because it's a constitutional carry. Yeah, that's cool. And I support that 100%. But if you want to carry on all the levels and be useful on all the levels, you still need that concealed carry.
Absolutely. With a firearm on your person, this may seem obvious to everybody as I start harping on it. You should have a holster for your firearm. Believe it or not, a good holster. If you have a specialized purse carry, fine. I'm not going to argue with you. I still think you should have one on your hip, but if you've got a special pocket and it's easy access and it's designed specifically to carry a firearm for you, and it's got some sort of, trigger protection so it doesn't get fiddled and have a negligent discharge, then, hey, there you go. But the last thing I want to see is people walking around with a firearm tucked down the front of their pants that's just tucked down the front of their pants. And I don't understand this. I don't understand the mentality that people go through when they're like, oh, no, it's fine because I just shove it like this and then it's fine. No, I don't care.
Mexican carry. I'm not trying to be racist or anything like that, but it's like in the belt.
Right.
Just hanging there.
Right, exactly. This is not an old Western flick.
Right.
This is not...
We're not back on the farm.
And we're not back on the block. These guys, and I'm assuming gals as well, who wear 2 pairs of basketball shorts, on top of, that allows them to sag the one pair and then conceal their, high point in the top pair. What are you doing? No, get a holster. You're an adult now. They make holsters for literally all firearms, all pistols, so that you can safely carry. And if you can't find, one on Amazon or, one of the big
reach out to us.
Manufacturers.
We have somebody that makes holsters.
Yeah. Reach out to us. We've got a guy. He makes amazing holsters and, we'll set you up right. So, nowadays, and it's unfortunate, but another big thing that people are having to carry around now. And I say unfortunate because, I want to be deplatformed on, all forms of social media. You have to carry a mask. And if you're in a state that is super wincy about vaccinations, you need to have your vaccination card. It's just, if you're traveling,
that's where we're at right now.
Yeah. It's a fact of life.
I'm not talking smack about it, but I may not agree with it, but it's something that, I'm not going to say you need to be vaccinated or you don't need to be vaccinated. My point of view is my point of view. But if that's what you need to do or that's what you've done, you know, you have to comply. Don't make a big scene out of it. You know, just be prepared. I mean, it's like getting on the airplane. You know, I hate wearing a mask on the plane. I hate it.
Right.
But I agree to it before I even get to the airport.
Right.
So it's not like a big surprise of like, oh, I didn't agree to that. Yes, you did. You have to agree to it
in order to check into your flight. Yeah.
You have to.
Yep.
So you can't fight something that, you know, oh, nobody said I had to have a mask. Yes, they did.
Yeah.
You want to fly?
Put it on.
Wear the mask.
Right.
Because you're holding the rest of us up that have things to do.
Right. And our mentor, Eric, you know, is somebody who can tell you there's masks you can buy that are less mask than others.
Right.
If you have a hard time breathing, you know, under an N95, there's options for you. That's all I'm going to say about that. So another thing that you should carry on your immediate person is a small flashlight. It doesn't matter if it's a pen light or, you know, one of the smaller, you know, Walmart level, you know, little mini mag lights or whatever. Put it on your keychain. I don't care. But you should have a flashlight. It's getting darker now. There's little, you know, spots, little dark spots and holes in your car and your trunk and, you know, whatever. That how often do you need to see into something and you're like, oh man, you know, yes, you have a flashlight on your phone and it sucks. So
you forget to turn on the porch lighter. It's not on a timer. I'm getting older. My eyes aren't the best and I have to see the keyhole to put the key in.
Right.
It's just one of those things. Like I was going to make
it's got scuff marks all around the lock like a drunk.
I was going to say something derogatory and probably not appropriate, but you get the gist of what I was going to say. But I literally have to have a light to see where I'm putting the key in, because if not, I sit and fight with it.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, just for safety's sake, and that is definitely one of those that 2 is 1 and 1 is none.
Exactly.
All right. We're going to get into the intermediate things. But first, let's talk about Smash Labs. Check out our friends at Smash Labs Rage Rooms, a Southern Utah exclusive with franchise options available. You won't find another adventure spot quite like this. 5 axe-throwing lanes with a variety of edge weapons and their special Rage Rooms, where you and your friends can work out the day's frustrations by smashing TVs, home appliances, and all kinds of glassware, big and small, and an ever-evolving range of ceramic and miscellaneous items sure to thrill the senses. Call them today and schedule your date night, special event, or even large private parties. Visit their website at www.smashlabs.biz and check out all their special pricing packages, or call 435-359-2214. That's 435-359-2214. Walk-ins welcome. That's Smash Labs Rage Rooms. Awesome. So, intermediate EDC. Mr. Frost, I'm going to hit this one, and you're going to disagree with me as much as you like. I think people should both learn how to use and then carry lockpicks. Please discuss.
Okay, I agree with you to a level.
Okay, that's a good start.
Here's the thing.
You heard him slightly agree with me, everyone.
Slightly. Here's the thing. It's like carrying a handcuff key on your keys. I agree. Yes, you should have one on your keys. I agree with you because of what we do. However, let's talk about your plain Jane, normal, vanilla person. You have to understand that you need to be able to talk about why you have these things. It's not against the law to have a handcuff key on your keys. It's not against the law to have a lockpick set.
Depending on your state, I think.
Right.
Some places you can get hit with it being burglary tools. Right. Check your state's laws, your local laws and everything like that.
Right. But that's where I have that, know what you're doing, be educated about your situation, because if you can't articulate why you have a pick set and you start fumbling around and look kind of shady when you start, well, I just have it because I want it. Well, that raises a lot of eyebrows and raises a lot of questions.
I can't begin to tell the listening audience how many times, because the people who know me know that I carry lockpicks everywhere I go, that I get a call from someone, hey, I've stupidly locked myself out of the house. I've locked myself out of my car. I've locked myself out of my office. Fill in the blank.
I agree with you.
I've got a padlock that I don't remember where I put the key for it, and now I can't get my lawnmower out of my shed.
Right. I agree with that. And I think that it's a useful tool to have, but I don't think that it's something, once we get into the more prepper side of things, and it really kind of depends, but it's a skill set that something you should learn to do. I agree, but I don't think it's an EDC thing.
The only reason I disagree with you is because one of the reasons I harp so hard as we were leading up to the Urban Escape and Evasion course with On Point Tactical is that having done that class before, I've learned that in a serious situation, the rules change.
No, and I agree with you, but what I'm getting at is, as far as EDC goes, an everyday situation, that's not something
But an everyday situation can devolve.
You're right.
Into a serious situation.
You're completely right. But here's the thing. There was a time where on Facebook, a lot of my friends would do the post of pocket dump. What's in your pocket that you carry? Mm-hmm. And you see it at very few now, but every now and then it's just a fun post to see.
Mm-hmm.
But ounces count as pounds. Like, they just add together, and the more you carry, the more you have to keep track of. That's why I'm not a big supporter of having 10,000 freaking firearms with every caliber. I'm going to pick up as I go if it's a dire situation. Now, I need something to get me through, of course, but I'm only going to plan to get where I need to go.
Sure.
And when you start adding lots of little things, like I said, ounces start adding to pounds. And even if it's in your go bag or in your backpack and it's something that you carry on a regular basis, it's still something that you have to keep track of. And the more you have to keep track of it, the more it's just shit.
Sure. And it's something that you have to train with. It has to be something you're familiar with.
And you have to keep doing because,
right.
It's like
it's a diminishing skill set. So for me, I think one of the biggest pluses, in that whole conversation is that if you were on that level, and that's why I stuck this in our intermediate EDC. If you're on that level, if you train like you fight and you've got a pocket for it, you've got a special, system that you have set up between your go bag and, your vest and, some of these other things, there is a place that you can put that where it's within arm's reach if you need it. So that's all I'm saying. And so, and that also goes into the handcuff key conversation. I think it's never a bad thing, especially for, the people that we know and love in places that have a much higher kidnapping rate. If you live in California, if you live on a border state with Mexico,
Florida,
even in Florida, places like that where kidnapping is a much hotter, crime, you should have, the knife and a handcuff key or several, on your person, because
Depending on situation, I'll agree to that.
Right. And so, and there's a lot of it that I will put forward, to people going in, taking the classes, from Kevin with On Point, and doing that urban escape and evasion class, because once you figure out, how easy it is that people get snatched up, and then how essential it is to know how to get out of it. And it's not some stranger, snatches you off the street, like they do in Mexico. It could be a situation where somebody that you thought that you knew and loved has now duct taped you, and thrown you in the trunk of a car
just to assault you, honestly.
Right. Because, they're having, a mental health crisis or something like that. And your ability to know, and you're carrying the tools that allow you to get out of that situation, becomes essential. So these are EDCs for what can be worst case scenario, though they are rare. If you look at the totality of the numbers, are not terribly uncommon. So that's why I go into it the way that I do.
No, and I understand that, but I really kind of want to push this too. Stop advertising all this shit that you have. Please.
Yes, that's basic anti-kidnapping 101.
Please stop telling everybody, look at my new lockpick set, look at my new gun, look at my new, bracelet that breaks the window. Don't stop advertising that stuff, please. Because, for assaults, I'm going to tell this to the ladies. For assaults, 90% of your assaults, and you all should know this already, are people you already know. And they're going to use that against you.
Right. If they know that necklace doubles as a hook knife,
right.
That's going to be the thing I take off of you first.
Right. I'm going to rip it from your throat before or after I've secured you, type of thing. Those are things that you need to keep to yourself.
Right. And that's part of, the kind of situational awareness world, knowing, not, to put forward everything that you're doing all the time and all the little, tidbits that you share with the entire world on social media.
Right.
So,
and we're kind of cutting it close and getting in depth here, but I just can't stress it enough. Stop showing off all the cool stuff that you have. Now,
but we will say that it is cool.
Right.
We'll let you know here. It's super cool and we love that you have it. Don't tell me about it.
Right. Because if you know I have it, I'll use it against you.
Right.
To be very honest with you, if you were to come to a training with me and tell me you have this kind of thing, I'm already sizing you up, whether you're male or female, because I know that you have those skills, or you're trying to use those skills.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, in a training situation, I will test people like that. And especially if I know you have it, I'm going to see if you pull it.
So another thing, just jumping along here, obvious, not obvious, for the intermediate carriers, you should have at least one extra magazine for your firearm
on your person.
If you're not going to be the one, it's draw, shoot, run, and you find yourself in a situation where you have the abilities, you have the skills, you have the training, you're ride or die for the people that are around you, not just yourself. It's going to take everything you have and more. So be carrying an extra magazine, have those things available to you. We talked about before we started the show, those survivalist cards.
Right. I think that's something that should go in your wallet. It has, some of them have fish hooks in them. Some of them have, a blade on them. I think those are really cool things. They're hard to carry into the airport because 9 times out of 10, they're metal, or if you carry them a lot, sometimes the parts come out and they start falling apart. But I think a really strong one is they make a card that has like the little hexagon set on the top of it. You know, you can unscrew things. There's a little spot on it that has a screwdriver.
Right. It's a multi-tool in a card.
Right. That doesn't come apart.
Right. And it's the size of a credit card or a room key or, your driver's license or something. It's all the same consistent size. So you can just slide it into one of your little extra wallet folds or whatever. And you've got something there that worst case scenario, you're like, oh man, I'm so glad I have, this little extra tool.
Right.
Sometimes there's even a nice bottle opener on it.
Right.
So
right.
Win-win.
When you're having that Corona and nobody has a ring or nobody has
not the virus, the beer.
Yeah.
Cerveza. Passport. Everybody needs to have access to their passport.
Keep it up to date.
Keep it up to date. Make sure your information is correct, that you keep that that thing close at hand, not to where it's going to get lifted if you have your purse taken, while you're at the grocery store.
It's like the Social Security card situation.
Right. But you want to have easy enough access to it that you're not digging through, the important documents folder that you have, stuffed in the everything drawer.
Right.
and it takes you 20 minutes to locate the damn thing. So you should have a passport. Your kids should have a passport. Your spouse and your boyfriend and your girlfriend and, your piece on the side, everybody should have a passport.
Piece on the side.
So, with that also is like the needed documents. Whatever it is that you're doing, if you're coming and going and, especially for like us, when we do transports and stuff like that, we have documentation,
Right.
And so whatever it is, fill in the blank for yourself. If you need, some proof of purchase, you need an access, form that says I'm allowed to be here. I'm allowed to do what I'm doing. When I do, or when you and I are doing penetration testing, I have a foldable copy, of the, not the whole contract, but the permission form that I have, tied with the contract that says, hey, I'm
allowed to
security guard with the gun to my face, or, the cop.
To be here.
Yeah. And here are the contact, numbers and all that kind of stuff. So, read into it what you will. Oftentimes I'm sure you can think of 1,000 different things that you need, work orders, whatever it is. Make sure that you have that stuff on you. Extra clothes, a jacket that's water and windproof. Those are an essential item.
That should be with you year round. I don't care because, I realize that it's always to the level of your training, but somebody goes into shock in the middle of August and it's like where we're at 110 degrees. You still need to warm somebody up who is in shock.
Right.
And having that jacket could help. Or like it does here, in a blink of an eye, it's the whole state of Utah, but in a blink of an eye, it can start raining.
Right.
And if you ask a commercial fisherman, how many hypothermia things happen in the middle of the heat of the summer when they're commercial fishing, because the wind kicks up, the rain kicks up. Now somebody's suddenly hypothermic and
it's 95 degrees
95,
outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
So, from somebody with personal experience in getting doused with drinks, my least favorite one was the time I had milk thrown all over me.
Yeah.
Sure. I was grateful to have an extra change, a full change of clothes.
Right.
You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to get dumped on you, what's going to be sticky or smelly or fuel soaked or whatever. You should have, what you need to get changed out of.
Right.
And usually I keep those things in my car, but I also have a go bag that doubles on that. Right. So 2 is 1, 1 is none. First aid kit. Another obvious, we can say it, but now look at your car, look at your backpack, look at your purse. Do you have a basic first aid kit? Do you have Band-Aids? Do you have a compression wrap? You know,
I think that those are necessity things. I also want to stress, if you take medications like I do, I have 1 or 2 extra days of medication in my stuff, just because for you and I, sometimes a transport can go, oh, we're done with the transport. I need you to go do another one back to back.
right.
And it's sometimes those transports are already 48 hours. Well, I have enough pills to do another transport for another 48 hours if I need to, because it's a crucial thing of my regimen.
You just never know what's going to happen, right? And if you're the type of person who's down to ride, you know, at the moment's notice for something crazy, you should be prepared enough that you don't have to tell someone that I need 2 or 3 hours to go home and collect my life, you know, before I head out and do whatever externality it is that we're talking about.
Right.
So, real quick, I want to hit the expert level stuff. As you are looking at these things, you're applying them, you're trying to get better. Look, we teach classes for all this kind of stuff. You know, we offer one-on-one things. But one of the things that I'm just going to run through really quick is these expert level EDCs, just because the world that we live in, the environment that we live in now, it's starting to become more important that you have access to a greater level of preparedness than, you know,
And training
than was once required of people. So, a go bag is a short term for a very in-depth, topic. It's a bag or several bags.
It should be several, to be honest with you.
Yes. That allows you to pick up and go and survive whatever is happening. It's the thing that if the literal, you know, I hate it. I'm going to start bleeding into sounding like I'm part of the large prepper community. When the shit hits the fan, you want to be able to grab those prepared things and just go. And you don't have to worry about, do I have this? Do I have that? No, you should have the immediate needs, all of your immediate needs taken care of. Basic needs, clothes, meds, water, documents,
food,
passport, whatever. Everything should be as close to ready to go as humanly possible. So if the phone rings or a bomb goes off down the block, you can just grab it and jump.
And why I say multiple, because that means you got one in the car, you got one at home, everybody at home.
One at the office.
One at the office. Those things, that's where 2 is 1 and 1 is none.
Right. And, you know,
you need to train as well.
Right.
You need to train. You need to have that training, and you need to keep training all the time, using those skills. Even if it's just a group of you and your friends getting together once a month and saying, hey, we need to work on knots. Hey, we need to work on, rope work. We need to work on, hey, map reading. I don't know how to read a map very well. I don't know how to find grid coordinates very well. You need to have those skills that are perishable, and you need to focus on them on a regular basis.
Yep. badguyforhire.com. Message us and we will teach you.
And if we don't have that knowledge, I guarantee you with the I can't even say the damn word.
The plethora,
thank you, of contacts that we have, we can get you in touch with somebody in your area, or at least direct you to the proper training or the start of training for you.
Right. So a couple other things, and this is especially good for things that kind of run in conjunction with your go bag. Ballistic vest, soft armor, at the very least. But if you've got, level 4+ plates,
I'm still going to shoot you in the face.
Yeah. Yes. Well, rise to the level of training, right?
I don't care if they're ceramic, steel, level 4, level 3, I'm still going to shoot you in the face. Anyways.
So it's not a wrong thing to have, especially if you live in a big city where we've just experienced over the last year and a half, 2 years, riots,
right? Well,
violence,
look at
active shooters
right now.
Exactly.
I mean,
people are butthurt over, how a court case went, and so they're going to burn cities to the ground.
Right. I mean, there's
clash with police.
There's a huge thing on the job boards right now of who wants to go to, go here.
Yep.
And it turns into, well, we all know it's going to happen, and then they drop the verdict. I mean, your buddy even says it. They drop a verdict on Friday so everybody can riot on Friday night to Sunday and then go back to work.
Yep, exactly. So tools, depending on what we're talking about. If you are talking about in your car, you should have sockets. You should have a wrench. You should have a handful of things that allow you to not only change your tire, but to defeat, simple to the moderately complex, vehicle breakdown issues. If it's at work or at home, you should have the necessary items to fix, repair, and push through whatever it is.
Right.
And have an understanding of what you're doing. YouTube is a fantastic resource for any of that.
Yeah. I was about to go down a rabbit hole. Never mind.
Food, water. Now, I'm not talking about stockpiling barrels of water and, a year's worth of food kind of thing. That's prepper level conversation. But if you are going from point A to point B, it's a 4.5 hour drive, and you break down, on the mountain pass in between the two, being able to stay hydrated and keep enough calories in your system, to
in case you have to walk.
Right. Mr. Frost and myself, we literally ended up in the middle of essentially a whiteout blizzard in the middle of nowhere, Montana, unexpectedly.
In Yellowstone.
Right.
With no cell phone service.
Yep. All the roads were iced up. It was our serious butt clencher the whole time. We were able to push through it, but if we'd gotten stuck overnight, how long is a half a tank of gas going to work in the middle of nowhere, trying to keep you warm, and trying to maintain your health and wellness, in a serious situation.
And keeping, if there's others with you, calm.
Right. So one of the other things, expert level, I'll say this: your knife is to get you to your pistol. Your pistol's to get you to your rifle. If you believe in, the long breath of preparedness, then you should have, a large caliber. Well, large caliber is kind of a broad term, but you should have a definitive firearm, a rifle that you can get to in order to deal with the world's bigger issues.
And have the skills to pick up if you need to.
Right. So we'll leave it at that. But you should have extra magazines. You should have the ability to, fight your way out of a really sticky situation, whatever it may be.
Right. But it's not always pew pew. Just keep that in mind.
Right. And then expert level, and this requires training so that you don't accidentally, I won't say accidentally because it's required training, so it's incidentally kill someone, but you should know how to use and then carry a blowout bag capable of dealing with serious trauma, not just, my son dropped his box cutter on his foot and is certain that he needs to go to the hospital.
Hashtag I'm dying.
But I'm talking about life's legitimate, injuries, traumatic injury, bullet wounds, sucking chest wounds, Boston bombing level, somebody's been penetrated by, hot shrapnel, a leg's been, or a hand has been torn free from farm equipment, whatever it is. Okay. Car accidents, life's little and big emergencies. You should know how to use a tourniquet. You should know how to use compression bandages, and at least, taking a Stop the Bleed class, TCCC, combat lifesavers, whatever it is. These are things that you need to know.
And you need to stay on top of.
Right. Everything is a diminishing skill set.
Right.
I'm learning now as a father, as I'm trying to help, kids with math, maybe I should have stayed up on math a little bit, because now I look like a damn fool. Like, I know this word integer. Okay, hang on. Hold on, as I'm like Googling it.
Right.
So all of this requires some level of back to the basics, build yourself up. Okay, let's go through the go bag today and do, a full gear layout once a month.
Right.
Are the power bars still good? Is the water, has the water been sitting in the back of the car and, overheated a couple of times and now it's no good because it's full of BPAs?
Right.
Swap things out, as you gain weight or lose weight or get taller, whatever. Be prepared to change clothes out, as weather, and the seasons change, be prepared to be able to switch things out and adjust accordingly. So
know where your gear is,
know where it is, make sure it's up to date, stay on top of it. So that's it. That's the everyday carry. And that's the consideration I literally take. And it takes me 7 seconds in the morning as I'm putting my pants on to look around and make sure that my pocket dump has all made its way back neatly into all the places. I've got that muscle memory. We can have an argument about what is muscle memory, but I know where to reach for what when I need it. And I've had to walk myself back from, wearing 10,000 pockets as much as I love them. But I got tired of being harangued and harassed for wearing, 511 pants,
Mr. Tactical,
all year long. So yes, I get it. The I-served pants have been retired. I only use them when I'm working. But everything has a place and everything in its place.
Right.
And that's my OCD perspective on that. So, all right. We're like an hour and 12 minutes into this. I thought everyday carry was going to be a lot shorter.
No,
and
we probably could go another 3 hours, to be honest with you, if we wanted to get really in depth.
Look, ladies and gentlemen, I can bloviate with the best of them. Okay. And I'm aware of this. So I appreciate that you have stuck this episode out. You're like, yes, I get it. Keys, move on. But, we really do appreciate you guys. Like we said, we've got a concealed weapons course coming up on the, what did I say? It was the 28th.
Yeah.
So if you want to get signed up for that, contact us. Go to our website, badguyforhire.com.
Please go in and give us a like. That 5-star.
Oh God!
If you could do that and give us a review, that would really make a huge thing for us. Please. I'm gonna ask for it. You know what I mean? It's one of those.
I'll beg for it.
Yeah.
On my hands and knees, I will beg for it.
Please give us a review. Please give us those 5 stars so that we can get out there a little bit more and maybe build our Patreon a little bit more so that we can bring some of those higher level people to come in, or we can go to them, or we can get you more information and eventually really kind of blow this up, because we're really passionate about this and we ultimately want to help you. So by you helping us, we can help you.
Right. And we want to help the people that you love. And so, if we can disseminate this information, across platforms and, to different generational gaps and all sorts of things, we're willing to break it down however we need to, so that everyone from, the professionals that Mr. Frost and Mr. Valentine and I work with on a regular basis, or all the way down to, the extreme novice, the teenager, who's becoming an adult this year and starting to, really try to find their footing in being confident and competent in themselves. That's what we're trying to do here. So with that, let's blow the door and get the hell out of here. Hey, thanks again, everybody. We love you, and we're hoping that this is working out. Please, on top of all the likes and shares and reviews, feel free to contact us. Let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what you want to hear, how you want to hear it different, whatever. The feedback is super helpful. The more you can shoot that stuff at us, the better that we're going to become, the more confident you will be in your comfort level with this information, and the more confident you might be in sharing this information with others. So it all comes down to, you have to communicate with us while we're here shouting the information out into space. So big shout out to Tom Larson, our executive producer. Big shout out to our Patreon subscribers. If you are not subscribed to our Patreon yet, do that as well. It's patreon.com/oppositional forces. We also have the link on our website, which is badguyforhire.com. So go ahead, climb on there. Hey, every dollar counts, for real. Like it's $1 a month, it's $2 a month, whatever it is, whatever you can afford. Look, we're not Disney Plus here, okay? But we're trying our best. So just hook us up and get us out there on the road, so we can bring you some super awesome content. Thanks again, everybody. See you next time. Thank you for listening to Oppositional Forces, Wage War, and Stack Bodies.